Thanks for joining us. We are walking into the cabin. At the end of the town-maintained portion of the road, there was a huge snowbank, and there's no way I'm getting over that with my truck. It's just not worth even trying. So we decided to hoof it in. Got the two older boys and Rob and another good friend of mine with us, and we're making the trek in. Well, it's quite the trek. There's a lot of snow here. The snow is about knee deep. Thankfully, a snowmobile or two compacted a little bit down the middle. This is a reminder to me of how being prepared is a lot more than having stuff. It's about health and fitness and being physically prepared. And this is kind of a wake up for me. I'm winded. It's just a very gradual incline. I'm already having a hard time breathing. It's just really pathetic. Oh good, there's a downgrade coming up. Anyways, it's no excuse that I'm carrying a pack. I know guys that carry 80-pound packs and they're fine. Yeah, people are probably cross-country skiing and snowshoeing through here. My pack's only probably 45, 50 pounds at the most. But it's one more item to put on my to-do list. Get more serious about physical fitness. There's some property for sale if anybody's interested in being my neighbor. It's 25 acres. If anyone wants the number, just shoot me an email. There's my shed and my trailer over there. Decided to forego getting the four-wheeler. It just isn't worth risking getting it stuck in the snow. We're only up for a day trip, so there's no sense in wasting what little time we have shoveling and digging out equipment from the snow. If you've watched any of my prior videos up here, you'll know that I've spent enough time doing that, and I'm all set with that. Here's our gate right here, and the snow is super deep. It's gonna be a long trek up there. Are you thirsty? That's an ice cube for you. I think, Lukey.
Cool.
That was a walk. Rob's going for the fat wood. Can't say I blame you, buddy. I'm sweating so much right now that there's steam coming off of me, so Julie, this should be proof right here that I'm one hot guy. Alright, it's time to make the coffee. Well, oh, wait a second. There's no water. We have to find an alternative to that. Baby, your first time since the cabin's been done, huh? What do you think? Yeah. What's the last thing you saw? The last time you were up here, what did it look like? You never saw anything? Wow, so this is all new to you, huh? You glad you came up? So why have you not wanted to come up? Just because it's a lot of work and basketball and other things like that? It was kind of a hike up here, wasn't it? Was it worth it? No? Oh yeah, I thought you said no. Well, alright, well I'm glad you came up today, buddy. We made ourselves some nice camp coffee using snow. Unfortunately, we have frozen water bottles here, so there's not much we can do with them. Although you can melt the snow, or excuse me, the ice in these bottles pretty easily. A lot of people think that if you put this bottle on the wood stove directly, it's going to melt the plastic, but that's just not the case. In fact, you can theoretically boil water in a plastic container like this without melting it. And there is a scientific reason for it, and I'll give the very brief scientific reason for this. It's called the specific heat of water. It's the amount of energy that it takes to increase water by per degree, and water has a very high specific heat. The specific heat of water is 1. So what happens is when we put this on the hot wood stove like this, what happens is the tendency of the plastic to melt is diminished by the tendency of the ice, the water, to draw the heat out of the plastic immediately. And that's because the specific heat of water is much higher than the specific heat of plastic. It's very easy for the water to draw the heat out of the plastic and transfer the heat that would otherwise melt the plastic. Now, the minute you take the water out of this plastic, of course, it's going to melt immediately. What you hear in that sizzling is just water condensation that's accumulating on the sides of the water bottle. But if you look underneath here, there's absolutely no melting whatsoever. So you can really melt the water very, very quickly. Now, of course, you can flash melt the plastic. You can flash melt it by really, really putting a tremendous flame under it. That's why I'm not putting it on the ground cook surface here, because that is significantly hotter. But you can tell, I mean, this surface that the water bottle is on is very hot. I mean, you couldn't touch it without burning yourself. And as you can see here, I mean, we're making water out of this ice, which is cool. So anyways, I just want to take a minute to show you guys that you can melt and even boil water in a plastic container. Well, we're taking the plunge into the real big time cooking here. We're making Jiffy Pop. And I gotta say, this is the hottest fire we've had in this wood stove. Like I mentioned on a prior video, the wood that we've been burning has just been so wet, so it takes a while to get the stove up to temperature, but we were patient this time. And I'm learning how this stove burns much better. I feel like I've learned how my stove at home burns really well, and I can basically make a fire of any temperature in there. This thing I'm not so intimately acquainted with. But we've gotten this cabin up to a reasonable temperature, and yeah, we're not shivering anymore. Like I said earlier, the fire has been raging here, and this wood stove has really performed well. For the first time since we've installed it, it's really brought this room up to a pretty comfortable and reasonable temperature. So much that the stove is still raging, and it's doing very well. But we need to make sure that it's going to be safe to burn out on its own when we leave. So what we're going to do to shut the stove down, we're going to close and lock the door. We're going to shut the vent so no oxygen can feed the fire. And then we're going to let whatever fire is burning in there escape by totally opening the damper. So everything that's in there is going to go flying, but we're not going to allow that fire to be fed by oxygen. Well, thanks for taking the time to watch this video. We really appreciate you tuning in. If you haven't already hit the thumbs up button, now's the time. Hit the thumbs up button if you like this video. If you're not subscribed to the channel, we'd appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button now. Join us on our crazy adventure, and you'll be notified when new videos come out. Until the next video, thanks so much, and we'll see you then. Wow. This is at least 2.5, maybe 3 feet deep. Holy smokes. This is awesome. And it's snowing like crazy again. Oh my goodness.